It's good. I was working on something all day, and in one of my books. It was hard. I wrote a lot. I wasn't happy with it. I felt I needed to stick something on at the end of one of the chapters of my book, because the chapter is it's real heavy. It's like these are not just chapters, they're like entire, they go through the gamut of whatever I'm talking about. And then I tried to add on to it, and I created a separate file in order to do the work. And I brought in things that I would like to bring in. And I tried to do it and put it together. I stopped, I lied down. I stopped, I came back, I went, I got something to eat, I came back. I'm asking Hashem, if you don't want me to do this, it's okay. Like, I don't, I just wanted to do the right thing. It's not going. It's not up to me. But it does so happen that everything I was working on today was important for tonight. So where we're holding in inner space, in the vision of Ezekiel, of Yecheskel, hi Yudi, shalom, shalom. So inner space, part 2, deeply into the experience of the 4 klipot, or the 3 klipot, and coming towards what's on the other side of the klipot. We'll explain what klipot are. The whole thing is about like how to expand our understanding about what Rabbi Kaplan is telling us about Ezekiel's experience, to apply it to ourselves, to understand what's going on in our lives in terms of this incredibly huge, all-encompassing concept called the 4 klipot. And another way to talk about klipot is to talk about barriers. Barriers, klipot, shells, or that which stops me from getting where I need to get to, a barrier, a mini'ah. And why Hashem sends mini'ot, and why Hashem stops us and stops us cold sometimes, and why we can't do what we want to do, and why we feel the way we feel. Sometimes if we feel rejected, then we feel dejected. What's rejected is that you don't want me. Dejected is that I don't feel worthy.
I don't want you either.
I don't want me either. And so that's how klipot work. And so the Baal Shem Tov is one of our main sources for dealing with how the klipot attack us and how to overcome them and to transform them into a godly experience, into something we can grow from. So what Yecheskel is going through here in his way is, as Rabbi Kaplan presents it, he's trying to get prophecy, he's trying to break through all these barriers that are stopping, that have covered over mankind and come between us and Shemaim. And the Asiyah has been separated from Yetzirah. And Yetzirah is the spiritual dimension above us. And there's an orla, there's a system of skins and of 4 skins between us. We have to circumcise us, not just the normal definition of circumcision, but circumcise the consciousness of mankind and take away that which is preventing us from being not only that's stopping us from being connected to Hashem, but what's stopping us from being aware that we are connected to Hashem. And that's the subtlety we want to talk about, is what's the reality? Are we connected and we just don't know it? And that we just have to clear away what's stopping us from knowing it? Or do we have to actually make a connection and restore the connection that once existed? Oh, so here's who didn't get you pages.
158?
Yeah, 158. The set of 158. There's two here. Oh my goodness. One more. Come here, young man. I gave two, one for. All right, here's another one. So the class is already basically finished. I decided to give a 2-minute class today, and those who wouldn't be on time would miss out on the whole thing. There were rabbis who did this, but we'll give a second class, a continuation.
Jerusalem buses.
Jerusalem buses are the fair is the issue. Okay.
Last one in is the next one.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so go to the last page, which is a page that I just did myself today, and I added the text from the first entry in the. You still don't have one? It's the first entry in Toldot Yaakov Yosef. Who's Yaakov Yosef of Poldoi? One of the main Hasidim of the Baal Shem Tov, right? Rav Yaakov Yosef. And one of his main Sfarim, he has a number, and they all are constantly quoting my master, the Baal Shem Tov. So one of the main ones is Toldot Yaakov Yosef, which is actually words from the Torah, Ele Toldot Yaakov Yosef. And so his first entry in Bereshit, right after the first paragraph, he quotes the Tikkun Hazor. And the Tikkun Hazor says, Ki ani Adonai lo shaniti. I, Hashem, I do not change. So look at the English, look at the Aramaic, whatever you want to look at, we'll do both. Aba legabe chayavaya ishtani. So Hashem doesn't change. Certainly Hashem himself does not change. But in relation to those who are not worthy, which includes every single one of us, if not in general, then at least during certain periods of our lives, right? Because that's how life is. So, therefore, in relation to those who are not worthy, the Holy One does indeed change. He does change, even though he himself doesn't change. But he changes in the sense that he hides his face from them behind numerous levushim, kisuyim, and klipot. In the Aramaic, it's bekama levushim, bekama kisuyim, or bekama klifim. The Aramaic of the three terms, in disguises and in covers and in shells. What's the idea? Hashem covers himself. In the Torah, these klipot are called tov v'bo v'choshech al pnei tehom. Whatever the translation of those terms are, it never really does it justice. Chaos and utter void and darkness over the face of the deep. And certainly they parallel, which is what page 159 is all about. They parallel the four klipot that Yecheskel encounters. You can go there for a second. Under the title, The Glowing Husk, on page 159. Avram, you have a page? Well, here's another one. Don't worry about it. I also have your disc on key. I thank you so much for what you did. Amen. The glowing husk. So what is he going to talk about? The fourth klipa. The first three are considered what's called klipot shel tum'ah, or impure, or evil klipot. They really try and do everything they can to suck your energy from you. And we're going to just have to talk about what klipot are. Like, what is this? What's going on here? It's very nice to talk in symbolic language, but what are we talking about? On the page before, he was quoting somebody who was in his class, and her experience of meditation and applying her meditation on page 157, 158, applying that within the words that Ezekiel uses and trying to make a connection. But we won't go there for the moment. Okay, the truth is everybody's going to share now. I have 2 more of these. So here's the last 2. Yeah, if you can share. Right now, I think that's enough for everybody who just came in. Rabbi Kaplan says, we discussed the root of evil in connection with the shattering of the vessels. Like a lot of the book, I'll chair up here. A lot of the book, Rav Aryeh Kaplan is dealing with this concept of evil, which is associated in the Kabbalah with hiddenness and concealment. And all of Torah revolves around revealing and concealing. Hashem concealing himself in order to reveal himself. Hashem concealing himself in order to reveal himself. What happens, all the Ramchal, Derech Hashem, and many others for him, about revealing and concealing. And the dance between the two. And why our lives are filled with Hashem concealing himself from us. And sometimes the question is, are we concealing ourselves from Hashem, where it says in Gan Eden that Adam hid from Hashem. It says in the beginning of Shulchan Aruch, in the first entry in Orach Chaim, that the Rav Moshe Isserles brings an amazingly important verse. Ha'im yisater, who knows this verse by heart? Ha'im yisater ish b'mistarim velo er'enu ne'um Adonai. Can a man hide in secret places and I won't see him, says Hashem? So some people are very bothered by this, like God is a peeping Tom and he's looking down, he's trying to trip us up, make sure he can punish us. But really the truth is he's an inside God. He doesn't have to peeping. He only is looking at us and telling us that he's there with us, even in the secret places of our lives, in order to tell us that what he wants from us is our turning to him, our awareness of him. That we should stop thinking that we could hide and do whatever we want, because his presence, the whole purpose we exist is to come out of concealment into revelation and to break out of shikha, which is the letters choshech, shikha, it's forgetfulness and amnesia and oblivion, which is the same letters as choshech, which is darkness, to come out of that into the light and to know that the whole reason we were born is to be aware, to be consciousness, to be aware of my own being, and aware of my own being, aware of my beingness. It's even bittul in certain systems where we talk about bittul yesh, where I want to nullify myself. That's not literal. We don't nullify the self. We refine the self so much that the self merges into the big self. We talked about the halacha. I don't want to go too far afield. So that then I still have a self, but it's being completely enlivened by the big self, by the divine self. And that's consciousness, that's dot. Whereas if man tries to think, well, I can do whatever I want in this room here because, listen, nobody's watching, Or I can kill whoever I want, or just have sex and kill and have sex and kill, which is going on 15, 20, 30 miles away from here, over and over again. It's the sickness of a society that is bent on death, blood, and we don't want to go there. We want to be aware of the divine right in our lives, the transcendence of the divine and the immanence of the divine. We want to break through the concealments. And then we'll understand retroactively, like we said last week, the transformative experiences, understand retroactively that everything that seemed to be a clip, everything that seemed to be holding me back from Hashem was given to me to fix, to elevate, to rectify. It's hard to tell somebody like that when they're suffering, when they're just constantly failing and feeling their own unworthiness. But ultimately, we're going to understand that everything was given to us. It's in the sense you can see yourself, like the Ari says in Shar Gilgulim, you can see yourself as in essence who you are, and that's your middle aspect, your ruach. The ruach is the conscious personality, the me that I know myself as. The neshama is the higher part of me that was given to me to help me do what I need to do. It shines down into me. It sparkles down into me. It helps me. It guides me. It's my guardian angel. And my nefesh is the part of me that was given to me that's going to try and bring me down. That's not only, that's just unconscious. So the me that I know has to fix the lower me, that's the part of me that needs fixing with the help of the higher me. And I'm all one entity, but there's different aspects that have been given to me to do this work. And these are categories that, if they're helpful for me. If they're helpful for you, this is how Kabbalah teaches us how consciousness works. It's to show us that we're made up of different aspects, and that our job is rectification. It's not just, in other words, even now when we're not rectified yet, and things are still happening that are bothering us, we can look up and say, wow, whatever this is about, Hashem, please help me through this. Just that simple thing, turning to Hashem, breaking through the concealment. Even if I don't, my left brain doesn't understand it, that God is here, God is everywhere, that nothing but God. My left brain doesn't get that. But there's some part of me that says, I really need your help now. And that's a breakthrough when everything is not working and that we're bogged down with klipot, so-called klipot. Then our ability to call on Hashem is really in this, and Rabbi Nachman writes about it extensively. Soar ta'aseh l'teva, make a window in your words. Like it says to Noah, make a window in the ark. But the teva means words. Make a window through the words that you speak, words of truth coming from the true feeling that you're having. Hashem, I'm having a hard time. Express yourself. Articulate yourself to Hashem. I'm having a hard time. This is not what I wanted. Those words, even though they're harsh, and you're saying them to God, but they're real, and real words are what are required here. And they break through the wall. So again, the whole point I'm just trying to make now is that klipot are depending on where you're looking at them from. They are really that which is holding me back from being who I am. And they are really that which has been given to me to help me become who I am and who I can be. It depends on which side of the wall you're standing. Have I already transformed? Have I already been able to see my life from a higher perspective? In which case I see that everything that happens to me is somehow for some good. And we're for sure we don't want hard things to happen. We're not looking for them. But when they do happen, and Am Yisrael is awesome, because when things are happening right now, we come to bat. We're great. We don't want to have to see it. We don't have to see hard times. So maybe practice in the daily events of your life, that whatever comes to you, try and really relate to it as something been sent to you for you to grow to your greatness. Back to Rabbi Kaplan on page 159. We discussed the root of evil in connection with the shattering of the vessels. We saw that ultimately evil comes from good. It's the fallen aspect of good. It's on page 85 in the book itself. It's a very important point in chapter 10. That Hashem gave us the job to re-elevate that which is essentially good, that has fallen good, it's fallen good, and to re-elevate it. It's not, something is not created evil intrinsically. If it were, then we would know there would be no way that we could fix it. But if it's good, but it's fallen, if the world is essentially a good world, but it's broken a little bit, it's fragmented, it's fractured. Rabbi Nachman constantly bringing these things up into his stories. The Ari points out that God could have created evil as an independent entity, but he chose to make it through the process of the shattering of the vessels. Evil had to be created as the fallen aspect of good so that one could raise it back to its source. All of the world is a a world in which he broke his light down in order that we could be the builders of the light. The Father who gives his son the Lego set is only 5. It's a huge Lego set. Its toe is so big, and the Father gives it, and the Father's a physicist, and he wants to train his son to think, and he drops the whole Lego set just before he gives it to him, and he says, "Oh my goodness, I dropped it. I'm so sorry. Let's put it back together." And the son gets on the floor, and he can't do it. It's too many pieces. It's a puzzle. It's a Lego set. It's anything with a lot of pieces, and they're turned over, and I don't know what goes with what. And the Father gets on the floor with his son. Hashem hu ha'Elohim. Hashem, the infinite one, who's so much beyond us. He comes down and disguises himself within the world that we exist in order to know that we can know that he's here with us. He gets on the floor with his son and he helps him, but not too much, because the whole point of it is that the son has to put it together. So it's fallen good. And we're the ones who have to put it back together. And it's also, I've mentioned a number of times, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. And all the king's men, and all the king's horses, this is Kabbalah, pure Kabbalah, and all the king's men, and all the king's horses couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. What do you hear? What's Humpty Dumpty, first of all? What's the picture of him? A big egg. He's an egg. Oh, interesting. An egg. And it falls. And it breaks. And our job is to put it back together. But the horses, what's the horses doing here? And all the king's men, the king's men, I can understand. Why do you mention the horses? What's the symbol system behind this? My personal reading of the symbol system. How can I expect you to guess what I get? I'm trying, I'm asking. What do you see? What do you hear?
There's a passage that says, not in the strength of horses, not in the strength of...
Lo b'susim, lo b'rechev, lo b'susim, v'anach, elu b'rechev, ve'elu b'susim, v'anach b'shem Hashem Eloheinu nizkir. There are those who rely on horses and those who rely on chariots, but we rely on the name of Hashem. Yeshem. Okay, yes.
Do you think the people who wrote Humpty Dumpty and the other nursery rhymes, which they say are all loaded, did they know what they were saying consciously or subconsciously? Did they know what they were putting?
Well, if you're a Jungian, you don't have to answer it yes or no. It's that it's part of the collective unconscious that our dreams are very deep. Our understanding of things below the conscious mind, here, down here. So it could be that mythologies and fairy tales come from that deep place, and they have deep truths to them. And they're also Torah in exile. They're also deep things that are from the Torah, but they're in exile. At any rate, the king's horses seem to be the laws of nature, and the king's men seem to be the angels. It's based on the Malbim, something he said. So in order to put the world back together, it does not make sense, according to the laws of physics, to be able to do this. And therefore, there's no way. It's a divine plan that we will be able to do it, but only if we connect to the divine creator who's giving us the job. It's like similar to looking at a mural on the wall and looking at the same mural in a billion pieces on the floor. Just by looking at the floor, there's almost no chance you could ever put it together. But if you keep referring to the mural on the wall, then you might see pieces. Oh, I see this matches that, right? That's the heavenly unified vision, and this is the broken earthly vision, right? And if we connect to that, then we have a chance. Because there's all kinds of things going on here. Trying to do my best to communicate it without being overly, but I think I'm being overly. Anyway, so a little bit more. As he ends off this paragraph, had it originated as evil, a human being would never have been able to re-elevate it. In that case, only God himself could. Interesting. So he, again, a lot of the book has to do with this idea, and this is one of the places where he clarifies this beautiful, this important idea. And that applies to us also. Our personality that has been given to us, our makeup. Are we perfected beings? Are you perfected? Why didn't God make you perfected? What's his problem? Is he a faulty craftsman? What is this? What's his plan? What's his intention? Why did he make a faulty world?
It is perfectly faulty.
The world is perfectly faulty.
It's a perfect system.
It's a perfect system of what? So again, it's the same idea that he wants us to be the fixers. Like, we don't believe in ourselves. Like, how could you give us such a big job? I said, just do it, okay? Just do it. I'll help you. The philosophy behind it, you'll get it someday. In the meantime, just do what you can. Put yourself together. Not just the world. Be unified in yourself. In order to do that, you have to know what's going on inside of you. Why am I full of contradictions if I am? What are these desires in me? Why am I made like this? These are called fallen qualities, fallen midot, fallen sfirot. Rabbi Nachman says fallen fears, fallen loves. Our job is to raise them back up.
What about the forces of evil, the physical forces of evil, that our enemies? They are fallen good also?
What?
Hezbollah, Hamas, is a fallen good?
According to, that's a good question. Are our enemies also fallen good? Whatever answer I give you is just whatever I understand. It's limited. I'll give you the answer that based on the idea that there's 7 Canaanite nations: HaKanani, VaHiti, VaHivi, VaYebusi, VaGilgashi. There's 7. Sometimes only very, very rarely 7 are mentioned. Sometimes 6 are mentioned. Sometimes 5. It's very strange. The Torah never is not consistent in this, and also it mixes up the names and it puts them in different order. I have a whole file on this, and once it even mentions 10 nations with Avraham Avinu, and never mentions them again. So the Ari says that those 3 that are never mentioned again are corresponding to Keter Chochmah Bina. They were not Shaykh in the days of Moshe when we conquered the land. Only 7, only the lower 7. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod Yesod, in what's called the Klipa. They're called Kanani, Chiti, Chivi, Yevusi, Girgashi. The light of holiness, when it's in a lower form, are called by these 7 names. The land is called Eretz Canaan until it comes to become called Eretz Yisrael. What is the difference? When we become Yisrael, Yashar El, and we fix ourselves, the land immediately becomes ours. The klipa falls away or becomes transformed, right? There's 2 ways to deal with klipa. One is to transform it and to uplift it. And what was a klipa in the past has now become holy. And the other is that it paradu kol po'alev, and it dissolves and disintegrates. It has no real existence of its own. And it could be both are true, that the evil of evil dissolves and disintegrates, and the good within evil becomes reclaimed, and it becomes reabsorbed and back into the good. But whatever, if you can build on that, you can see that then Rav Gedalia Koenig, back there with Shlomo, Rav Gedalia Koenig said once, I was in his home, I was privileged to be in his home once a week. He taught us people who didn't know anything back then in 1974, that there's 70 nations and there's 7 midot, and every is 7 times 10. So when we don't perfect a particular quality in ourselves, let's say that I steal something, or I become a thief, not just stealing once, but I perfect. So the nations that's connected to that becomes empowered. And they become empowered in their klipa form. If I rectify my midah, my quality, in other words, he's telling us that we're connected and interconnected in very deep ways, not only with all our own people, but with all of mankind and the entire world. So the Torah view of man's responsibility and accountability and power and awesomeness is huge, right? Copernicus and Galileo did not take away, even though they said that the world is heliocentric, it did not take away from the importance of man, even though we're a piece of dust on a piece of dust, but our importance is very great. And so especially in Kabbalah, the Ari lived at the time of Galileo. The Ari broke open the heavens and said that the story of Am Yisrael is not just galactic for our galaxy, it's intergalactic, it's much bigger than we ever thought. Just like Galileo opened up and understood the solar system more than anybody had done, right? And he was excommunicated in his place, but we never excommunicated because the ideas were always there in Chazal, we just didn't know which one to take. But now Galileo brought that to the fore. And at the same time, spiritually, he already opened up intergalactic level of understanding of the cosmic story of which we are a part. It was always there, but it wasn't allowed to be revealed. We're just going to read on in the in this next paragraph, and then go to the back of the page that I recommend that we do, and let's just do our best. In the account of creation, we first have, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim et haaretz. This alludes to the realm of good. Hashem always prepares good before he has the good fall or shatter. The second verse comes and says, the earth was without form, empty, with darkness on the face of the depths. Right? The Tikkunei Zohar associates tohu with the storm wind in Ezekiel's vision, the first klipa, bohu, emptiness, with the great cloud, choshech, darkness, with the black fire, which he's already spoken about, and tehom, depths, with the noga. The Ruach Elohim would correspond to the chashmal. So Rav Kaplan has brought a very special source here. The idea of the four exiles, the four klipot, the four letters of Hashem's name. It's all interwoven. But not to go too far afield, what I wanted to speak about is our personal experience. And that's what God willing, the focus is going to be on. Because it can go very far afield with it. You can get very, very, you can go places. But in a class like this, where I'm doing the best I can to speak to every single one of you. So we'll try and move inside instead of out. So let's see what the Tikkunei Zohar says about the four klipot. The covering that Hashem covers himself with. So again, at the top, it's the quote from the Tikkunei Zohar, Ki ani Adonai lo shaniti, I Hashem, I have never changed, I do not change. There's no such thing as change by me. I am not subject to change. I'm not subject to the laws of the world. Aval legabe chayavaya ishtani kucha b'richu v'istater. But certainly Hashem himself doesn't change, but in relation to those who are not worthy, which includes every single one of us, if not in general, then at least during certain periods of our lives, the Holy One does indeed change, in the sense that he hides his face from them behind numerous levushim, disguises, kisuyim, coverings, and klipot, shells. In the Torah, these klipot are called tov v'bo b'choshech al pnei tehom. This is the meaning of astira panai mehem, I will hide my face from them. Why? Ki dor tapuchot hema because they are a generation of inner contradictions. Let's finish the piece. However, for those who are worthy of connecting to him and his Shekhinah, i.e., this him is his transcendence and Shekhinah is an immanence. So I add, i.e., who put their efforts into knowing that Hashem is the transcendent reality behind all reality, to know him, and then immanence, who are thereby able to see through the levushim and the kisuyim and the klipot, and know that he truly is present in every aspect of our lives. For those who try and do that, he doesn't change. Hashem doesn't change. So what does the Baal Shem Tov do with this? This now he's giving over Rav Yaakov Yosef of Polnoi. The Holy One does indeed conceal himself behind numerous levushim and kisuyim. However, as I heard from my master of blessed memory, when a person knows that the Holy One is hiding there with him, this awareness itself dissolves the concealment. Hebrew, Hare sheyesh kama levushim uksuyim, she'akadosh baruch hu mistater bahem. Omnam, katafti lekaman, dishamati mimori, zichrono livracha lechaye ha'olam haba. May his memory be forever, for a blessing. She'im yida ha'adam, that if we have dot, that if we develop our dot, our consciousness, she'akadosh baruch hu mistater sham, that if we know that Hashem is there with us, in sham hastara, this dissolves the hiddenness. There's no hiddenness. Ki yitparadu kol po'alei avin, a verse that's from Psalm 92 that's quoted maybe 100 times in the Kitvei Baal Shem Tov and all the teachings of him. This is a very special verse. There's no longer any concealment, and the workers of iniquity disintegrate. It's in English. It's like very, doesn't really work. But kol po'alei avin, those who really basically who create the illusion, the forces that create that this is the physical world. There's a physical world. Physical world is noga. It's a semi-permeable place where everything is ready to be lifted up. But the workers of iniquity, the po'alei avin, they cover us and separate and prevent us from knowing how to utilize the physical world to lift it up. So another verse, very important verse, is Nirgan Mafrid Aluf, that the Yetzer Hara is called the separator, the dissenter, who's Mafrid Aluf, who separates the one, the Aluf. God is called the Aluf. Anybody remember why? What does Aluf mean in modern Hebrew? A general, a Ramatkal, it's a high level. Why is Aluf the word used for a high level of? And it's also Aluf, an athlete. Aluf, he's a champion of such and such thing. He gets an award, he's an Aluf. Why is the word Aluf used for a champion? What? Aleph. What's the difference between Aleph, and Aluf? And you'll see it. One is Aleph. Don't hold back. Aleph is one. Aleph is 1,000. Aluf is a champion. Aluf is the Aleph in the Aleph. Aluf is the 1 in 1,000. Hashem is symbolically the 1 in 1,000. He's the one behind all the thousands. So there's the Nirgan, the dissenter, the Yetzer Hara, the Nachash. It's called Nirgan. He's looking to separate Mafrid Aluf, to separate the Aluf, to separate us from the Aluf and to separate the aloof from the world. And that means that there's a force inside of us that until you discover it, it speaks your voice. It's you. But then when you discover it, you say, where did you come from? Who put you here in the Garden of Eden of my consciousness, you Nachash? You're whispering to me, to Mafrid Aluf, that I'm not connected to my God? Out. Either work with me or get out. See, it's very helpful to talk about the different parts of yourself, because then you can know the me, has to fix the not me and either transform it into the real me, or, as I said, itpardu kol po'alev. Since this, I want to do justice to this. Let's go inside for a minute. Let's do some root canal work. Let's find if there's any voices inside of us that are telling us that we're not connected to God. Very, very logical voices. The voices of all the politicians in the world, of all of the kings of the world, of all of all of them. You're not connected. So let's confront that voice. In this sense, also, that's what Yaakov confronted when he fought all night with the angel. What does it mean that he struggled all night? V'yavek ish imo, that a man struggled with him and wrestled with him, and that the Chazal say that the avak, that the dust of their wrestling match went up to the kisei kavod. Was like, what are you talking about? It means that the struggle was on every level of Yaakov's soul. That this malach was sent to him, according to Rashi and most midrashim. Who was the malach? Esav's malach, or also called the malach Amavet. But according to the midrash Yalkut Shimoni, it was Michael. What? Michael's trying to kill Yaakov Avinu. Yeah, Michael is sent to kill Yaakov Avinu, not to kill him, but to bring him to become Yisrael. You cannot become Yisrael. I cannot be your advocate in Shemayim until you fight with me to the death and you win. And you overcome. And it's such an interesting contradiction between the two midrashim. Like, hello, how do you say that Michael could even be compared with the Malach HaMavet? But again, in order for Michael to become our advocate in Shemayim, he had to strain us and attack us at every level of our soul, physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual. And the whole mission of Am Yisrael was at stake. And Yaakov had to overcome it. How did he overcome it? Because he knew he connected to his real destiny and know this is who I am and nobody can take me away from it. And he dislodged his thigh, which means that there would be people along the way that would leave the fold. They wouldn't be able to handle the struggle. But most of us would make it. And even in the end, all will come back, just like all the seeds that rotted, Hazorim Bedima, Barina Yiksoru. Those who did lose it in the exile will come back and will see that everything will be redeemed. But now with us, is there something inside of us? And even if you can't put your finger on it right now because it's a little bit like pressured in the middle of Times Square, and there's trains going by, and there's jets going overhead, and Avram's talking and he doesn't stop. But deep down inside, the main thing is to believe we have a core. We have an essence core. Can anybody disprove that we have a core? Is there any voices in the audience? You don't have a core. You're not real. Any voices like that inside of us? I am real. I do deserve to be. I deserve to exist. That's why Rabbi Nachman says, talk it out, because if it's just in thought, it's not as powerful. If you hear yourself saying the words, I deserve to exist. I want to exist. I want to be the full me that I want to be. If you say it in words and you hear yourself speaking, then there's power to it. I suggest it, highly suggest it. If ever you're down, and if ever you need help, and it's not coming from anywhere outside of you, call on it through speaking Tasha. So how should we turn this into a really positive exercise, though? Maybe just breathe, hear the sounds, settle into yourself. Be in the state of dot, a state of awareness. Aware of yourself, aware of the others around you. All of us in one room together with one mind, sharing something very deep. In a world that's going crazy, that's going completely into fragmentation. And we want to build a temple. We want to build something good, lasting. So I want to empower us that what's meditation? Are there rules to meditation? Do I have to be silent and quiet all my voices and my thoughts? That's called mindlessness. Mindfulness is to be completely connected to the mind with a capital M and to intend your connection with Hashem, to intend to think strongly, clearly, to speak if you need to speak. There are no rules that say that you cannot speak when you're meditating. There are no rules that say that you cannot move. There are certain forms of meditation, fine, that you want to attain a certain bodiless state and not even move an eyelid. But don't think that that's all of what meditation is. Meditation is a free ground, a free field of relationship with God. And you can do anything you need to do in order to strengthen that relationship and strengthen your relationship with yourself, with your own higher self. So I hereby, because of the misunderstandings involved in this area, I hereby grant you this beautiful freedom to be yourself and to not put yourself down. There's a deep teaching that came out when I was doing Purim Light, and this incredible scene in the Megillat Esther, where it says, "V'tamot Esther." She fasted 70 hours. You've all heard me speak about this. Those who know me, she fasted 70 hours. V'ani v'na'arotai asum ken. Ken is gematria 70. You're gonna all fast for 72 hours, and I'm gonna fast for 70. And at 70 hours, I'm gonna eat and bathe and anoint myself. And I have my 7 girls here to anoint me and to give me massage and to do acupuncture and to do needles and whatever they need to do just to revive me, because I've been fasting for all this time. And we've all been fasting together and we've been crying. And she feels then Batil Bash Esther Malchut, and Esther dresses up in Malchut. The Gemara says, not big day Malchut, not clothing, but she feels the Shekhinah coming down on her. And then she starts to walk towards the throne room so they can get there at the exact strike of the moment of 72, which is Chesed, which is Yud Kevav, K spelled with Yud, which is everything, the highest light shining. And just before she reaches the door to the throne room where the king is on his throne, she has to pass through a corridor called the Beit HaTzlamim. And the Beit HaTzalmim are these, there's a corridor lined, very high ceiling, lined with these big thrones made out of wood, with these kings sitting on them with these conical beards and conical hats. And they're very, very big. And they're lining the whole thing. These are the kings of Persia. And they're daunting and they're scary. But if you're connected to the Shekhinah, it's like nothing. It's like boobas. It's nothing. It's meaningless. But all of a sudden, she feels, Eli, Eli, lama zavtani Hashem. I just felt your presence. Don't leave me now. I need you so much. And that moment is like a moment in eternity. That moment lasted eternally. She didn't know what to do. She felt completely naked. And at that moment, those voices from those kings spoke to her and said, you're not going anywhere, Esther. You're with us, Esther. It's all a joke, Esther. 70, 72, doesn't matter, Esther. It's gone, nothing. There's no success in this. And that's what just broke her. But it was right at that moment that the king, who's also Hashem, saw her and extended his scepter toward her. So that moment of brokenness just before getting to the king is like awesome for me. Should be for all of us. Oh my goodness, I was just about to give up. So what the Baal Shem Tov and Rabbi Nachman do with this, not speaking about Esther specifically, but speaking about this idea that just before I'm going to reach the next level of my development as a human being, that I do feel like a failure, is that those forces, those voices represented here, and those kings, those forces that ostensibly want to pull me down and tear me apart and not let me go, really what they really want to do is they want to come with me into the next level. So amazing. Yes, those very forces, those uglies who are trying to convince me that I'll never get there, their secret job, they're secretly whispering, Esther, do it, please, because we're in mamish. We've been here long enough in this dump, this hell, where we're working for the Sitra Achra. Redeem us, Esther. We're good. We're good. Essentially, we're good. We're for you. But we've just had to play these roles of being bad. And we got stuck in it because of things that we've done. But really, we want to go with you. So it's incredible drama. The inner drama of the human being is with all these characters and whoever, that even the stuff that's bothering and that's pulling me down, it's really asking me, Hashem, it's asking me, pull me up. Your job is not to listen to me. Your job is to redeem me and to elevate me. I haven't let anybody get a word in edgewise. Come, talk. How do you feel? What's going on?
Last week's parasha I saw.
Lift your voice.
Last week's parasha I saw Hashem said about Am Yisrael that he sees no evil in Am Yisrael.
Yes.
I think it's very important for us to have the mind of Hashem.
To have
The mind of Hashem.
the mind of Hashem, to look ourselves sometimes, even though we can't do it all the time, but see us as He sees us. Well, we can't do that all the time.
And that's why there's also the other character, Bilam. And we saddle the donkey and run to do mischief.
Yes. Whoa. So if we could transform all the evil guys in the world, right? Really, that's what the story is on the big level, right? It's I don't know how to even say it, but He put us down here to transform, to be Mashiachs. And we know that we can't do it. We need help to do it. We just do the little we can, and that's awesome. Yes?
So when you're facing a struggle, would you say that your angle should be that this is not me, it's not my voice, and what are you doing here? And only once you overcome it, see the fact that it would want to come and then welcome it? Or should you, from the beginning, seek to see the fact that it's really there for you and approach it from that angle from the beginning?
So, excellent question. So when you encounter a part of yourself or you're struggling, what's the best way to see it? Let's see an example. There may be different strategies at different times. One is that this is a part of me, like a part of me when I was a kid. Sometimes you can trace it back. You do some inner work, you can trace something back to, or you can ask yourself, when is this from? Why am I feeling like this? When is this from? When is this hurt from? The inner child, right? It could be she's 17, 18, 33, or she's 4. It doesn't, there's all kinds of inner experiences that are still there. They don't go away. So in that sense, it's a part of me that's crying out and that needs help. But again, it's a little bit abstract. So it's better to deal with it in actual, what's the experience that I'm dealing with, etc., which is not for this class, but it's different strategies. Sometimes the Baal Shem Tov says in Keter Shem Tov, forgot the exact number, I could find out, that where do I have it here? So I don't have it in front of me. So he says that when something comes and tries to, if you're davening and thoughts are coming to you, so they are coming to you to elevate them and to rectify them. L'taken v'laha'alot. L'taken, to rectify, and l'ha'alot is to elevate. Then he says, but wait a second. Sometimes yes, maybe sometimes no. How do I know which ones to elevate and which ones to right? Like in any meditative system, is to push it away. It's not what I want now. I don't want to think about that now. Or should I actually think about it, that person or that thing, and say this needs to be lifted up? How do I know when to do this and when to do that? Which is similar to your question, I think. So he says the truth is that at first, most thoughts, called extraneous thoughts, most thoughts in prayer are extraneous and should be gently pushed aside and get back to the job of praying to Hashem. But when you get better at it, and you can feel that this thought is coming to you, this memory, this thought about what you did, something that somebody did to you or whatever, it's very clear to you if you think about it and you've done this before. This is now something I have to think about. This is what my prayer is about today. So then he says, becomes a period of your life where almost everything that comes to you during davening is for you to rectify and elevate. Again, dugmaot, examples are needed, but that's the general. Yes. You
Like I need an example.
need an example. You need an example, yeah. But that's more for private work, I would say. But I should be able to give an example.
I feel like it's
Well, the shopping list is not a good example.
That's what usually gets us.
It's not a good example.
We're thinking of the airport today.
Shopping list that's not what I want to think about now. I want to, and if you, and always, any time when you feel disconnected from your prayers, you should stop and feel yourself in your body and feel yourself and say to yourself, I'm trying to pray to Hashem and I'm being distracted. If you can't speak at that moment, so you speak in your mind. You have a real conversation. You clarify yourself what you want to do right now and make an intention, make a directed intention. I want that the words that I'm going to speak now should be directed to my Creator and should have also a reverberation into my own life. And that's what real prayer is. And I want to just be here for this. And if you see you're not doing it and you've said another few words and it's not there, so now breathe, do some basic meditation, get connected to yourself, and then go on again. And if it's not working still, then go back into yourself and talk to Hashem in your own words. I mean, this is not only legitimate, this is really what prayer is about. It's not just a bunch of words on the page. Well, so let's face it, chocolate cake can be a diversion to God, and it can also be, if eaten, if it's not, just eating, but just tasting it, and olive or a grape. I mean, if you chew an olive, some good olives, you can chew them more than 30 or 40 times. One olive, you'd be so surprised, and you get so much out of it. And the lesson is, wow, look what I've been missing, especially men. We just put it in, it goes right straight down, because that's the way we grew up. Put it in and go down. But if you use this technique, usually that's called 32 times, but it's just a symbolic number, and you chew, and you get this incredible burst of taste from the apple or from the thing that you're eating. You realize that most of your life isn't wasted away relating to the external aspect of things. So what meditation and prayer and all these teachings are about is to connect to the inside. It's always there. B'ezrat Hashem, what we started with today is the question is there really a true connection between us and God, and it's just been covered over and we just have to rediscover it? Or actually we are actually disconnected and we should really, we're to blame, and there's no way out except just going into rejection and depression. So I think the first one is true, is that we are truly connected, and it's for us to start to know that and to enhance that and empower that. And if Ezekiel's experience teaches us anything, it's very rich. The whole page 159, 160, 161, it's such an interesting thing. And we didn't even look at it together. I will ask you that if you're not coming back next week, give it to me, because I'll need it for next week. Be fair, right? So I give these things out every week. But, and freely and gladly, but they have to be read, and if they're not, then they're mine. How do you acquire a song? You sing it. How do you acquire Torah? You learn it. Okay, let's sing a song. Anybody have a guitar today? Bless us all that we can know how to heal from our own Hester, to heal, to know that Hashem is with us. We should never be fooled again. But then Yurgan Mafrid Aluf, the one who tries to convince us that we're not connected to Hashem, and that we should work to the best of our ability to be even more connected, and that this is the time to do it. This is the incredible generation of those who seek Hashem, of those of us who really want it. We've come to Yerushalayim, many of us. We've come to, because we've been drawn here like a magnet. And even if you feel sometimes, oh, it's not working, what did I come for? It's not easy. Don't give up. Deal with those negative thoughts. Face them face on. Talk to them. Get help if you need to from somebody who's wiser than you. Because we came here to do processing, to process not just the food that we eat, but to process thoughts, to process emotions, to be here, right? To appreciate that everything that's sent to us is a gift of some sort. Thank you so much. We have a few minutes if anybody wants to discuss anything, ask, share. What did we come here tonight? What did we get anything from this? I mean, get real basic, you know. What am I going to go away with from this? What's my walk away? Did I get anything important? Not because of Avram Sutton, but because of the spirit that's in the room, Hashem's spirit that comes in between us and blesses us.
For me, that there was a line you said at the beginning, so you wrote it down. I think it was very, very funny for me, very meaningful. When you were describing how to have a conversation with God, and in a very, very sincere way, you say, "I'm having a tough time. This is not what I want."
This is not what I wanted.
Right? And that line is not what I wanted. Is I think it says it all, right? You know, you could tell kind of honesty with that thought. It will be different. No. I'm not even referring to the fact that whatever it is, comfort and wealth and joy, it's spiritual. You come for something, you're not getting it. You have to kind of honestly turn around and say, God, I'm not getting it. Doing everything. I think Shabbat, Kashur, everything, and there's something here that's, and that kind of honesty, I think, is that little window I'm not going to speak about the information in your words, and the window of truth. For me, that's very powerful.
Speaking to Hashem has to be interspersed with silence and waiting and thinking and even sometimes falling asleep. And I consider that's not sleep at all. It's a download, because you can only get certain things when you're not conscious state. But Rabbi Nachman's Hidbodedut is designed to get to a place where you actually don't know what happened for the last few minutes. And then you come back and you start again. And you start where you left off. And you start with what you remember. And you speak. And then you stop. It's, again, like we said before, it's a free field between me and God. And anybody who tries to put rules on me, you can't talk now. Now you have to not think. You have to do this. All right? That's not real meditation. Who's telling us what meditation is? Again, Rabbi Nachman, or the way most people are doing it now, is talk up to 2 hours. But if you don't stop a number of times in between and sit down and just wait and gather yourself and then start talking again, there's too much talking. You can't hear the response. So there's an art to this. And so therefore, Be'ezrat Hashem, each one of us should learn what we need to learn the way we need to learn it to get close to our Creator. Again, it's so needed. It's not a luxury. It's like so needed to be able to speak to Hashem. Major questions come up, and a person's her mother is having a stroke, and the doctors said that she would be a vegetable, and she's there, but she's not there. And the mother and the daughter is going crazy. What do I do for my mother? I can't do what the doctors tell me, which is to disconnect her. But what do I do to help her if she's in a place where she can't get out right now and she wants to get out? I don't know. So, I mean, turning to me, I said, go to somebody bigger. But in the meantime, talk to Hashem. Talk to Hashem, because talking to Hashem is not just asking him for an answer of what to do with the doctor. It's the talking itself which clarifies the whole matter itself and allows you to connect to your mother deeply, beyond, because we're all deeply connected. And the answers will come from a much deeper place. I don't know how to say it any better. I'm sorry, but again, it's a huge thing that there's going to be many issues and we don't know how to deal with them. And so, make a note, put it in front of your computer, talk to Hashem. Take a time to do it before you eat, after you eat, whatever, something, make it a real thing in your life. That's what this whole book is about. That's what Inner Space is about. Part 2 of Inner Space is what is meditation? And he says amazing things. There's no question about it. But what comes out of it, especially page 160, goes into is everything by chance. When we act towards Hashem as if everything is by chance, then Hashem acts with us and makes everything chance. And he brings this amazing passage from the Torah about caring, about chance. And Hashem says, if you still do not obey me and remain indifferent, then I will be indifferent to you with a vengeance. I'll make your life into total chance. But it's Hashem making it into chance. So our response to that is, Hashem, we know you're the one who's running things. It's not something that can be proven logically. But you're the inner life force of the world. And you give the world your blessing, your shefa, it flows down constantly. The more we become aware of that and appreciate that, the higher the level of shefa we can draw down. There's different qualities of shefa. There's what's called shefa kiyum, basic shefa of existence, life force of existence. Hashem will give that. Noten lechem lecho ba'asar kili alam hazda. He will give bread and sustenance to all his creations because his love to the world is never ending. But then if we refine ourselves, if we sharpen ourselves, then the level of shefa is no longer called shefa kiyum or shefa chiyut, life force. It's called in the Kitvei Ari shefa mochin and shefa penimi, the shefa of consciousness and the shefa of innerness. So that is up to how much we try and focus and connect. And that's what, again, with the Baal Shem, the Ramchal, all of these great teachers are about. Is if you see things as chance, then you're missing out on the fact that Hashem is the one who's trying to interact with you. Be aware of it. Call out. Call in. Abba, Ima, I need you so much. Not just for me, but for my family, for my people, for the world. Each one of us wants to become a light source for the world. It's time to ask for that and to really get it. So bless us all. Bless you. Thank you so much for coming.
Where's the kitty?
The kitty is over there. Please, it's 30 shekels each. Everybody, I want to see all the money in there from every single person, unless, of course, you pay it on a semester basis and all that. But make sure you bring money every week for this, and bring these back to me if you're not coming next week. But of course, come next week. And it comes to me to share another song while we're ending, just that I learned from Shlomo. Ki bishuatcha kivinu kol hayom ki bishuatcha kivinu kol hayom u'mitzapim liyeshua u'mitzapim na 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 Shalom. Rejoice. There's 2 more classes after this. Call me. Today? Right now?
Share cards.
16.
My ticket, whichever.
16. What's today? Today, only Yud Gimel? Okay. No, of course, right. Yud Zayin B'Tammuz is Shabbat. It's Shabbat, and the fast is on Yud Chet.
Always.
Okay.